Hello guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at the 0x05 pointers, arrays and strings. We've already done the tutorial for pointers, arrays and strings. Like I said in the tutorial, I'll be doing the task proper, which is what we are doing right now. But this is going to take a bit it's going to look a bit different from what we've been having before now, all because of ALS copyright policy. So I might not be showing the questions, the main.c files and all that, but follow along and you will understand. All right, I'm going to be solving the task all the way from task 1 to the end. So please just follow, but you need to try and understand the concept, which is very important. So if you need to stay on a particular question for a particular time to understand the whole concept, please do. The goal is not just to pass your task. The goal is that you understand what you are doing. All right, and just to say thank you for all your encouragement, for your comments, for the messages. It's been encouraging, and thank you for all of you that have been giving me good feedbacks. It means a lot to us. All you can ever give us is just that feedback. All right, to let us know how we are doing and what we need to improve on. Of course, we are all learning, right? We are still learning. We make mistakes. The more reason I don't edit my videos, because I wanted to see the raw videos. There's no need to edit them. All right, that's why I don't edit my videos. I wanted to see the mistakes so that you know that we are not perfect. In case you're working and you have some mistakes or some errors, it's just a way for you to look for bugs and see how you can work around your bugs in your code. Of course, yeah, I've been doing this for over a decade, but we still make mistakes. Yeah, we still make mistakes here and there. All right, so we are going to be looking at this concept. Like I said, we already have the tutorial for pointers, arrays and strings. So if you've not seen the video, try to see the tutorial videos. It's going to really help you. All right, so let's dive into the task proper. First, you need to create your directory inside the ALS low level engineering. So you need to create this directory, which is the 0x05 pointers, arrays and strings. All right, so you have to create it inside their ALS low level repository. And once you do that, you cd into it. And once you cd into this directory, like I am right now, all you need to do is to create your readme.md file, and then create your putcar file and create your main.h file. So if I ls now, you see that I already have all my main files for testing. All right, all my main files from the intranet, I already have them here for testing. All right, so this is just for testing, not the task, it's just for testing, like you already know. But you have to make sure you create your underscore putcar. All right, and then copy the prototype for putcar, and then all the prototypes of your questions into the main.h file, which I've already done. So if I cut my main.a files, so you see that I already have all the prototypes of the task we are going to be doing inside here. And also make sure to include your stdl.h, because a few of the tags or one or two of the tags you will need them. So just include it inside your main.h file so that you are covered. Yeah, so please copy all your prototypes. You see from your questions, you see the prototype at the top of your questions. So copy the prototypes into your main.h file somewhat like this, so that you have something like this before you start working. And so once you create your main.h file, make sure you don't forget the end if. Make sure you don't forget to include this if not define and define, and then end if to close your prototype, your header prototypes here. Okay, and then like I say, create your putcar function, the file. And once you do that, then we are good to go. All right, let me go ahead and clear my screen. Now we already have tutorial on this, so I should believe that you understand a bit of what arrays, pointers, and strings are, and so we're just going to be answering the questions already. So the first question says that we should write a function that takes a pointer to an int as parameter and updates the value it points to 98. That we should write a function that takes a pointer to an int. So you can just look at the internet, you see the question, that's question 0. Write a function that takes a pointer to an int as parameter and updates the value it points to 98. So that is what we are asked to do. And if you remember, in our tutorial, this was the last thing we do, where we dereferenced a particular array, using the pointer that is pointing to the name of that array. All right, so it's just what we did in our tutorial. So let's go ahead and see how we can answer this question. Let's create a file, vi into, our file name is 0 reset to 98.c. So that you can see it better. So 0 reset to 98.c. All right, so let's go ahead. I will have to look for the prototype. I was supposed to copy the prototype, but let me just look for the prototype. Okay. So I should include, let's include the header file, and then the prototype is void. Reset. So like I say, I am not going to be showing you the intranet copyright issues, so you have to bear with me. It's a bit stressful, but yeah, we just have to find a way around it to do this. Okay, so this is our function, void reset to 98. Yup, just trying to cross check to make sure it's correct. Yeah, so that is our function. So let's go ahead and write our code. Okay, so we're asked to write a function. We're asked to write a function that takes a pointer to an integer as a parameter and update the value it points to 98. So that is very simple. And of course, from here you see the pointer is n, so it's just n, pointer n, and then we say equals to 98. That is all. So let's go ahead and write our better documentation. So reset, which is the name of our function, to 98. The function name. Okay, sorry, here we're supposed to have we're supposed to have the asterisk, so let's just do that. Yeah. Okay, and the next thing, a parameter n, which is function parameter. Please, because of Kimber, you can just write just write a comment that best suits what you are doing. Okay, you mustn't write what I'm writing. Comments are the most important thing, is that you get this right. Every other thing it's okay, but just make sure you get this right. All right, so let's go ahead, save and exit. So this is also a pointer. We're just dereferencing the pointer from whatever it is to 98. So let's save and exit. Okay, then let's run Betty on the file. 0 reset. Okay, Betty is fine. Let's compile. So I already copied our compilation line. Okay, so we need to, I think we didn't put a semicolon there, so let's go ahead and do that. So this is C programming. Anything can just give you error message. Let's go ahead and compile again and see. Okay, that's great, it has compiled. And let's go ahead and run our file. So 0-98, hit enter. So if you look at your result, you should have something like this. All right, you should have something like this. So look at your file just after at the end of the main.h file, you should have something like this: n equals to 408 and n equals to 98. Why? Because we have the reference n from 402 to 98. That is all they want us to do. We did this in our tutorial, right? So if you can remember, we did this in our tutorial. So it's a very simple thing to do. Now let's go to the next question. What I can do is at intervals I will have to pause the video, then copy something from the internet, like the file names and all that, so that we don't waste time by typing all of those things. Okay, if that's fine by us. So let's go to the next question. The next question, question 1, says that we should write a function that swaps the value of 2 integers. We should write a function that swaps the value of 2 integers. Okay, so let's copy the name of the file. Okay, so let's paste the name of the file, and let's go ahead and include our header file #include main.h. Okay, so now we are asked to write a function that swaps the values of 2 integers. Okay, so let me copy out the function. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so here we can do a better documentation. The name of the function, so please always do your better documentation, very important, and try to follow the way it's supposed to be. The name of the file is swap int, so we can just say function name. I like to just keep it simple, but you can be more descriptive. And here we have 2 parameters. Parameter A, I'll just say first parameter, and parameter B, I'll just say second parameter, right? I think that is okay. So let's go ahead and see how we can write this code. So we have 2 parameters. We're working with parameter A and parameter B. Now we are asked to swap the value of 2 integers. Okay, now how do we swap the value of 2 integers? Now we have parameter A and parameter B. Now the first thing we need to do is to declare a value. So let's declare a value and say we can declare C as our value. All right, and say that we are going to make sure that we use this value we have declared to hold down whatever is in the value of one of these. Now remember, they say we should swap the value of two integers, meaning that whatever was in A should now be in B, and whatever is in B will now be in A, right? That is how to swap. Now, if for instance we swap A, swap the content of A to B, that means whatever was in B will now be in A, but we're going to lose whatever was in A because there's no how we can swap it back again. I don't know if that's clear. So for us to be able to swap this, first we need to look for another value to hold down whatever was A for us, so that by the time we swap A to B, we can then go to that value and swap it to B, so that we're able to have this swap for ourselves. All right, if we don't do that, then we're going to lose what was in the content, what the content of A was. So for us to do that, we will use a value which you have declared here. In this case, you are saying C. Okay, so we say C is what we have declared. So let's now say C equals to A now, right? C is equals to A. Now let's go ahead and swap A now for the content of B. So A equals to B, right? Now we're now going to say now B is equals to what? Equals to C. I hope this is clear. What the value of whatever was in A is now in C, because we say C is equals to A. Now if we swap A now for B, we lose the content of A at this point. For us to get the content of A to be swapped to B, we'll now call on C and say, okay, what we gave you that A was, or yeah, give it back to us. All right, just something of that nature. So let's go ahead and save our file. I believe that should be it. I hope I'm not missing anything. Yeah. Then let's run Betty on this. So Betty, one swap. Betty is good. Let's run or compile our file. Okay, our file has been compiled. Then let's run our file. One-swap. Okay, so A is 98, B is 42. A is 42, B is 98. So we've been able to swap this. So if you look at your intranet, you should be able to see that you have the same result, right? So we're able to do this because we look for another value to anchor whatever was in A, so that when we swap A for B, we don't lose the content of B of A, and after that we go back and say, hey guy, give us the content of A. All right, that is how simple. I see a lot of people going around trying to do this. Yeah, of course it's coding, everybody will have a style of doing this, but this is, I think, is the simplest way to just do this. All right, so let me clear my screen, and then let's go ahead and look at our third question, which is question 2. Question 2 says that we should write a function that returns the length of a string. We should write a function that returns the length of a string. They say the standard library provides a similar function, which is the strlen. Okay, so we should write a function that returns the length of a string. Now, how do you know the length of a string? It's simply the index, the total number of the string minus 1. All right, the total number of the string minus 1. That is how you can know the length of a string. Okay, So let's go ahead and see how we can write this solution. First, let me copy the name of the file, the file name. Okay, so vi to 2str learn.c. Okay, and then our function prototype. Before then, let me include a header file main.h and a function prototype. So I always write a function prototype before the Betty documentation, because we use a function prototype to determine what the documentation will look like. I hope that is clear. That's why you see that I'll have to write the function prototype first, then from there we're able to deduce what the Betty documentation is going to look like. So once you do your work, you compile, you check your work is okay, please don't forget to push to GitHub. That is where you'll be able to pass your task. So push it to GitHub once you are done with each of your tasks. Okay, so I think that prototype is correct. Sorry, now this is a function, so we don't need to put the semicolon because it's a function. So int strl. Okay, so now let's document Betty. Okay, so the name of the function is this. I'll just say function name, and parameter is s. I'll just say function parameter. Okay, and I think that is okay. So how do we do this? Let's say we should write a function that returns the length of a string. We should write a function that returns the length of a string. So for this particular task, we are going to be using loop. All right, we'll use loop. Why do we need to use loop? Because we don't know the length of the string, so we need to run loop for loop to be able to count the length of the string for us. Okay, so we'll use our loop so that we're able to get the length of the string. So let's go ahead and start writing our function or our code. So we'll just declare what we will use. All right, so we're going to declare two variables, int I, and let's also declare int either count or total. We can use count. Let's initialize this to 0. Okay, and leave a line. For Betty documentation, you have to leave a line after your declaration. So now we want to take a loop, so we're using, of course, the I we initialized, we declared. So I is equals to 0. We set that to 0, and the function parameter name is s, so we're going to use s. So x of I, all right, x of I not equal to the null byte. So I am going to explain this pretty soon. Not equals to the null byte. All right, and then we'll just say I plus plus. Okay, I plus plus. Now for each string, I told us during the tutorial that for each string you write, each string ends with a null byte, ends with this. All right, and okay, and for you to be able to run your string and know the number, your string should terminate before the null byte, because if it doesn't terminate, it's going to add this. Now we are counting the length of the string. It's going to add the index of the null byte to whatever is counting, and so your code is going to be wrong. So for each iteration you are running on your string, always make sure that you set this condition, that if this, which is the parameter we are using to check, is not equal to null byte, then it can go ahead and increment or decrement. Why? So once it hits this guy, which is the terminating null byte, it should exit the loop. But whenever it's counting and it doesn't see this guy, that means it's on track. It should keep counting until once it sees this guy, then it should know that it has reached the end of the loop, the end of the string, and then it should exit. It shouldn't count that guy. So that is why we have that condition. And then we're just going to say count plus plus, right? Count plus plus. Then let's go ahead and return count. Okay, so let's because we have a return value now, because that's what we are returning, let's go ahead and include return here. So return the length of the string, something like that. Okay, so I think this is cool. So let's go ahead, save and exit. Lest I forget, once you do your get your solution, you need to also save your main file. I already told us that I have all my main files here, so you have to make sure so I have all my main files here already. So you see, that's why I'm not including the main files again. So try and make sure that you have your main file saved so that you are able to see the result of whatever you are doing. All right, without the main files, you will not be able to see the result. Okay, you'll not be able to see the results. So let's go ahead and run Betty on this file. So this is question 2. Yeah, Betty. Okay, hope Betty is happy with us. Great. So let's compile our file. Okay, invalid processing directive. Okay, so I think I didn't spell that correctly. Let me do this. Yeah, so my bad. Okay, so that's fine now. Let's go ahead and run this guy. My Ubuntu is actually misbehaving right now, and let's pass this guy and see. Okay, so look at your results. What did you get? 16 here, and we'll have 16 here. So that means we count correctly. Okay, so that is how you can loop through your string and you're able to count. But always set that condition that provided your string is not equal to the null byte, because the null byte, like I say, is a constant. It's always there. Whenever you write a string, it's always there as a terminating null byte. So for you to be able to print without the null byte, you need to include that condition that it shouldn't print the null byte. Okay, I think that is clear. So let's move to our next task, which is task 3. So for task 3, we are asked to write a function that prints a string followed by a new line. So this is similar to what we've done, but this one we just need to include a new line, right? we need to include a new line. So let's go ahead and do this. So vi3 puts.c, so arch include main.h. Okay, and then our prototype void puts okay, so this is correct. Yeah, void puts car and then str. So let's do a better documentation, and the name of the function puts, I will just say function name, and our function parameter, which is str. We'll say function parameter all right, I think we are good to go. So let's go ahead and write this. This is pretty straightforward. Write a function that prints a string followed by a new line. So we are writing this function, and this function is to print a string. So let's go ahead and declare a variable for this. So we declare I, give a space for Betty, and let's loop. So for I is equal to 0. We always start from 0 because of course the index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, if you remember. So str I, and then let's set the condition that is not equals to, of course you should know already, the terminating null byte, and then I plus plus. Yep. Okay, so what else are we supposed to do? So we should print. So we're just going to print using a putCar function. All right, so we say putCar. Let's go ahead and print the string. And then followed by a new line. So print a new line. Okay, I think this is all we are asked to do. We should print the length of the string, and then we should print a new line. So let's go ahead, save and exit. Now let's run Betty on our file. So Betty 3 puts.c, trailing white space, let's check that. Okay, 3. Okay, let's run Betty again. Betty is fine now. Let's clear our screen and copy our file. Copy, and then let's compile. Okay, so implicit declaration of function putCar, do you mean putCar? Okay, let me see. I think I already have my putCar there. I don't know why it's asking this question. Oh yeah, I didn't include the prototype. in my header file. So let me see. Yeah, you know, this is yeah, I forgot that I didn't include a prototype. So let me I'll pause the video, then I will include the prototype. The scout prototype, yep, is not here. So let me do that right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile again. Copy. Okay, it has compiled. So let's run our file. 3 puts and hit enter. So let's see if that is the same output they have. Question 3. Yes, so that is the same output. I do not fear computers, I fear the lack of them. Okay, so that is very correct, followed by a new line. Okay, so let's move to our next question very quickly, which is question 4. Question 4 says that we should write a function that prints a string in reverse followed by a new line. Okay, so here we need to print a string in reverse. A string in reverse followed by a new line. So how do we print a string in reverse? Now, to print a string in reverse means instead of printing the string from the first, for instance, if we are to print Isaac, so instead of printing from I, we start printing from C, right? That is what it means. And for us to start that means we need to find the length of the string. All right, so we need to find the length of the string first, and then we'll start counting from the last number of the string or the last index of the string. Because remember, in pointers, we are only interested in the index. We are using the index to manipulate the files, right? So we count the file, the length of the file, and then we know the last number of the file, and from there we can then start printing from the last number of the file. And how do you know the length? Like I say, it's length minus 1. So let's say we have 6 characters, that means it's 6 minus 1, which is 5. So the length is 5, right? So 5 minus, or 6 minus 1 is how you can find the length of your string. Okay, and then of course, you know that there's always a terminating null byte, which we don't consider. So let's go ahead and see how we can run this particular code. All right, so let's write our file name. So vi for print reverse. Okay, let's include an header file, hash include main.h, right? Like I said before, let me just say it again. You need to include your main.c files for you to be able to run this text file and see. Without the main.c file, checker is going to check you, but for you to be sure that you are doing what is right, you need to include your main.c files, all right, for you to be able to check, because the line you use for your compilation, the GCC line you use, has a main.c file included. Okay, so let's write a function void print reverse, and a parameter is s. Okay, All right, so let's do our documentation. So our file name, our function name, print reverse. Just save the function parameter or function name, sorry, the function name, and our function parameter is, so function parameter, and I think that is okay. So now let's start writing our code. Of course, we're going to declare a variable we'll use, okay, and then also declare what we use to count, initialize it to 0. Okay, so now let's loop through our file. So I is equals to 0, like you know already. Is not equal to what? The terminating null byte. Is not equal to the terminating null byte. And I plus plus, right? Then let's count. Okay, so now how do we print this in reverse? We are also going to use a loop. Now this is to help us determine the length of this minus the terminating null byte. So if we know the length of our string of what we are printing, then we need to loop through it now. So I equals to what? Count, which is the length. Like I say, length minus 1 is how you can get the exact number of the string. Okay, and I now is greater than or equals to 0 or equals to 0, then I minus minus. Why is it minus minus? Because we are starting from the end of the string. Whatever is the end of the string, we are starting from there. So we'll print this until it's equals to 0. Until it's equals to 0. So we'll start printing from, let's say count is what we are printing, right? So we'll start from printing here, t, we'll print n, provided if the loop runs, provided that I is not equals to 0, it will print again. It comes again. Of course, if you look at this, if this is to be what we are printing, you should know that this is going to be index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, right? Index 4. So if we are printing, so I now is going to be t from the start. So if I is t, it will print I. The loop comes again and enter minus 1. By the time it minus 1 again, I will not now be 3. Okay, so when I is 3, it will print n. It will go again, a minus 1, again, I will now be 2. It will print again, it go again, I will now be 1. It will print again, minus I will now be equals to 0. Once I is equals to 0, by the time it goes and come back, 0 minus 1, I, this condition does not hold, so it's going to terminate the loop. All right, so that is what we've set there. It's just going to terminate the loop at that point. So let's go ahead and print. So put car, we just say, let's print whatever is the value of s, and then they say followed by a new line. So let's go ahead and print a new line. So put car. I hope this is clear though. Like I say, you can stay as much as possible on a particular task until you're able to understand it, which is why you are here in the first place. So I think this is all they want us to do. Let's go ahead, save and exit. Yep. So let's save and exit. And let's run Betty on our file. I don't really have to do this, but just because you need to also follow suit. Okay. So Betty is fine. Let's go ahead and compile. Okay, so okay, I'm trying to understand one. No, this statement but later is misleading. Okay, let's see what that is. So we declared int I, yeah, and then we initialize count to 0 for I is equals to 0, and then our I is not equals to the terminating null byte I plus plus, and then we count. We loop through our string, which is correct. For I is equals to count minus 1, yep, and I is less than or equals to 0, I minus minus. So put car print this and put car print this. Okay, let me look at that error message again, just so we don't waste too much time here. I am not seeing the error, so let's look at that error message again. So okay, let me do this. I've checked through this code and everything looks okay. Let me just do this if that by chance is the error, which is not supposed to be. Okay, so let me run this again and see if we'll have the same error. He says this for clause does not guard this. Let me look at this again for the last time. Let's clear the screen. So like I said from the beginning, you always meet stuffs like this. So in programming, you're always going to meet them. I'm trying to understand what it means by this for not guarded. I'm just trying to understand this. This was declared. Am I missing something? Everything seems okay in my eye. function parameter is correct. Let me check something. Okay, so I've been able to figure out what our challenge is. Simply this the new line is inside the for loop, so we're not supposed to put inside the for loop, so we're supposed to set it outside the for loop. That is why we're having this error. So let's guard this. Yes, I think this is okay now. So it's supposed to print the new line after printing the string, not printing. So it's misleading it because he's trying to print let's say it prints T, print a new line, print N, print a new line, and it's inside the loop. So we didn't set the new line to print inside the loop. So let's go ahead, save and exit. So that's what I was talking about earlier on, that this happens. Okay, so it has compiled now, and here you see that it has printed in reverse. All right, so I'm sure we've also learned something, learn how to debug also. This was a bit challenging, right? Okay, let's go to question 5. Question 5 says that we should write a function that reverses the string. We should write a function that reverses the string. I think it's almost like what we just did right now. Question 5. I'm trying to be sure that it's the same. Yes. Okay, yeah. So write a function that reverses the string. So let's go ahead and look at how we can write that. So 5 string dot c. The video is already getting long, so let me see if we can rush a bit. Our prototype. Okay, so let's document string function name at s function parameter. Okay, I think that's fine. All right, so we should write a function that reverses the string. Let's go ahead and see how we can write this. First, we need to initialize. Of course, we're going to loop through our function or our string. We'll loop through our string. So let's go ahead and initialize our variable for the loop, and let's also initialize a variable for the counting to count the length of the string, and let's set that to 0. Let's leave a space for better documentation. So our for loop, so I is equal to 0, equals to 0, and where's our cursor? Okay, equals to 0. Now equals to the terminating null byte, yeah, and then I plus plus. So to just iterate through it and give us the length of this. Okay, and then let's count it. So the next thing we need to do is to get another loop that will loop through it to print this in reverse for us. And we're going to say for I is equal to 0 and I is less than count. Just follow me. It's less than count divide by 2. And then I plus plus. Okay, so let's declare another variable and call this j. Okay, and let's set this to a parameter s. Just follow me and pay attention. Count minus 1 minus I. Okay, count minus 1 minus I equal to j. And we are not asked to print a new line, so I think that is fine. Okay, so let me try to explain this. You see, this takes a different turn from the reverse we printed the other time. Now, the other question, the other time we were asked to print, to write a function that prints a string in reverse. And here we are asked to write a function that reverses the string. Okay, and then it says that reverses the string, and then the string and parameter is s. Okay, now for us to print in reverse, first we need to know that we have to replace each index by another. So what that means is that if this was index 0 or this is index 0, it means you have to replace index 0 with index 4 and index 4 with index 0. And here we have to replace index 1 with index 3 and index 3 with index 1, because you are printing in reverse. Of course, this is in the middle, so no matter if you turn it, it's the same thing. So this remains 2. Now we are printing this in reverse, so that means we are taking this here and we are taking this here. We are taking this here and we're taking this here. That is what it means, right? So like we are swapping the index values of our string. So how do we get this? First, we need to loop through the length of our string and then divide it by 2. So we loop through our string, which we have done, and then we count it, and then divide this by 2. So when we divide this by 2, we are going to have, so for instance, if we do 4 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? 4 divided by 2 is 2. If we do 5 divided by 2, it's still 2. Now, we are not talking about the modulo, so we're talking about the division. It's still 2. So, meaning that, for Betty, yes. So, meaning that at each point, since we've divided this by 2, we are saying that, okay, we are swapping the values. So, this, we then hold, this is holding 0, and this is holding 4, right? This is holding 1, and this is holding 3. So if we swap this, this is going to be holding 4, and this is going to be holding 3. This is going to be holding 0, and this is going to be holding 1. Of course, this is 1. All right. So that is what we've done here. Let's go ahead, save and exit. This is preferred around this line 19, okay? Line 19. What are the spaces? I guess this Betty will not kill somebody. Let's see if that's okay by Betty. Okay, that's okay by Betty. So let's try to compile and see if our code is correct. Main.h, no file or directory included. Okay, there's an error somewhere there. Let's run it again. That is okay, and let's go ahead and run our file. Okay, so look at your file. You should be able to see the same thing, my school, and then we now reverse the index. All right, so that is okay. This video is getting too long, and we still have about 4 more to go or so. All right, let's move to the next task. The next task says that we should write a function that prints every other character of a string. Every other character of a string, starting with the first character followed by a new line. Every other character. That means if you print 0, skip 1 and print 2. If you print 2, skip 3 and print 4. That is what it means. Every other character. But you should start printing from the first character. Let's go ahead and see what we can do right now. Okay. and then our prototype. Oh yeah, so this is okay. Let's go ahead and document our so put function name. Yeah, there's an error there. And function parameter. Okay, let's go ahead and see how we can answer this. Write a function that prints every other character of a string, starting with the first character followed by a new line. So let's see how we can work around this. Okay, so we have this, and let's go ahead and declare. Of course, we're going to loop through this, so let's declare what we are using for our loop. So int I. Okay, so write a function that prints every other character followed by a new line. So how do we write this now? So let's see. Okay, let's give Betty the space, and I is equal to 0, and str I is not equal to the null byte, then I plus plus. Okay, so let's put a condition here. So if I modulus 2 is equal to 0, if I modulus 2 is equal to 0, we're going to say putchar print whatever is the result. Let's say and putchar again. The new line. So now look at this. They said that we should write a function that prints every other character, and I should start printing from the first character. Now, if you divide, let's say we have putchar. So putchar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you divide this by 2, it's going to be 3 remainder 1, right? So if it's 3 remainder 1, it's not correct because you are printing even number in this case. because now we're looking at the modulus, which is a remainder. So if this condition is saying that if you divide any number, which is I now, if you pass in any number here and you divide it by 2 and it's not equals to 0, the modulus is not equals to 0, then this condition doesn't hold. It shouldn't print. But if you divide it by 2 and it's equals to 0, then print it. So what does that mean? If I have a string right now of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6, if I divide 6 by 2 is equals to 0, right? So what does that mean? It will print 0, it will print 2, it will print 4, it will print 6. So it will print 0, it will skip 1, it will print 2, it will skip 3, it will print 4, it will skip 5, it will print 6. So that is what this condition is. If it's not equals to 0, don't print. If it's equals to 0, the modulus is equals to, you know what modulus is? Anything you divide, the remainder is a modulus. So let's go ahead, save and exit. So Betty says, okay, and then let's run. Okay, that's compiled, and let's go ahead and, okay, so you see 0, look at your terminal. I mean your intranet. 0, you skip 1, 2, you skip 3, 4, you skip 5, 6, you skip 7, and 8. All right, so that is that for question number 6. So let's go to question 7. Question 7 says that we should write a function that prints half of a string followed by a new line. Just half of the string. Half of the string followed by a new line. The function should print the second half of the string. So we should print the second half, not the first half of the string. If the number of characters is odd, the function should print the last n characters of the string, where n is equals to the length of the string minus 1 divided by 2. Okay. So we are to print half of a string, and we should print the second half of the string. And if the function, if the number of character is odd, that is, if it's not even, the function should print the last n characters of the string, where n is equals to the length of the string minus 1 divided by 2. So 7. Have the C. So our function is void str. Okay, so let's document Betty. Okay, I think we are good to go. Now let's look at how we can write out this. All right, so let's declare our variables for this. Int I, let's also declare int n, let's declare int count and initialize this to 0. Yeah, and let's loop through it. So for I is equals to 0, and is not equal to the terminating null byte. I plus plus. Yeah, so let's go ahead and count. Okay, now how do we print the second half? Of course, they've already told us that n is equal to the length of the string minus 1 divided by 2. So let's put that formula. N equals to the length of the string minus 1. Let's put this inside brackets, equals to the length of the string. So n is the length of the string, which is count, minus 1 divided by 2, right? Yep. Divide by 2. So let's loop now. So for I is equals to n plus 1. I plus plus. Okay. So let's go ahead and print put car str put car okay. So I think this should solve it. Let's go ahead, save and exit. Let's run Betty on this. Betty no description found for function puts half. Really? So what did you describe? Okay, puts okay, so let's compile and see. Wow. Okay, I think it's the same issue we had the last time. So here we need to okay, I think this should be fine now. Let's run again and see. Okay, this clause. Okay. Let's also guard this and see. Let's run. That's okay now. Then let's go ahead and run our okay. So check your results. I think that is correct. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So that is correct. Let's go to our next task, which is task 8. Already exhausted, but I have to finish this. So VI to task 8, which is 8 print array.c. Hope this is correct. Print array.c, and let's include an header file, main.h, and then let's write our prototype. Our prototype is quite lengthy, so let me just let me copy out the prototype. It's quite lengthy. Okay. So let's document Betty. Print array, the function name, and then a parameter parameter 1, parameter 2. Okay, so I think this is okay. Yep, that is okay. So let's see. Write a function that prints n element of an array of integers followed by a new line, where n is a number of elements of the array to be printed. Numbers must be separated by commas followed by a space. The numbers should be displayed in the same order as they are stored in the array. You are allowed to use printf. Okay, so now we need to write a function that will print elements of an array, and all the numbers should be separated with a comma and a space followed by a new line, and then we can use printf. So let's go ahead and do this. So let's declare a variable that we will use, and so for I is equals to 0, I is equals to 0, and I is less than n. I plus plus. I is equals to 0. Of course, we are printing the array, so of course we start from 0, and I is less than the number, so we're starting from 0, which is the index 0, and it's less than n, so of course it's starting from 0 to whatever is the last value of n to be printed, right? Whatever is the last value of n to be printed. That is so if the last value of n to be printed is 100, then it's just going to print 100 for us. All right, so but provided it starts printing from 0. Okay, so what else do we need to do? I think I have to start doing this. This is good practice. Yeah, loops. You guard your loops so that you don't have errors. So printf %d, of course we are using printf. So now let's set a condition. What is the condition for? Remember, they say that we should print comma at the end of every number printed, but the last number, the last character or number, you cannot print a comma there, because comma is not supposed to be up at the end. Rather, you're supposed to have a full stop, but here we're not asked to put a full stop. So now we need to set a condition that will enable us to make sure that we don't have a comma and a space at the end of at the end of our printing. We shouldn't have a space or comma. Okay. So here let's set a condition. So we say if I is less than n minus 1. If I is less than n minus 1, printf, what should we do? We should print a comma and a space, something like that. If I is less than n minus 1, remember minus 1, now here is the last digit, so n minus 1, whatever is the last number that n is holding. If it's less than that, it should print a comma and a space, but it shouldn't print a comma and a space once this condition is not true. So that means the last number, there shouldn't be a comma and a space. So let's go ahead and add a new line. Okay, I think this is okay. So let's go ahead, save and exit, and let's run Betty on this. And let's compile. Okay, that's 21. Let's see what that is. This is not supposed to be here. Okay, I think that is correct now. So let's go ahead and compile. Okay, so you see there's a comma and a space, comma and a space, comma and a space, and here we don't have a comma because we set a condition that once is n minus 1, then if it's less than n minus 1, it should have a comma and a space. But if not, then it shouldn't add a comma and a space. Okay, so let's go to our last for this task, which is question 9. Question 9 says that we should write a function that copies a string pointed by src, including the terminating null byte, So here we're going to include the terminating null byte to the buffer pointed to by des. The return value, the pointer to dest. So the return value should be pointer to dest. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. All right, so I've gone ahead to do the documentation and then include our function. So let's go ahead and write our code. All right, so what are we doing here? Simply what we're asked to do is just to make sure that we copy whatever is indexed to source. So whatever is in index 0 of dex should be exactly what will be in index 0 of source. So we're copying from source to dex. So whatever is in index 0 of the source should be exactly what will be in index 0 of dex. And then we should also print the null byte and then return dex. Let's go ahead and declare a variable, and let's loop through this. So for I is equals to 0, is not equals to the terminating null byte. Okay, so how do we do this? Simply, so des, whatever is in des, we're just going to assign it to source. Whatever is in des, we just assign it to source. And then let's print the terminating null byte. Des equals and then return des. Okay, so I think this is all we need to do. This is all. First, we assign whatever is indexed to source, and then we print the terminating null byte, and then we return this. So let's try to compile this and see. First, let's run Betty 9. Okay, Betty is okay with us. Then let's go ahead and compile. Wow, okay, so I said this, that I need to learn this by force. It's not something I'm used to. I think I need to start getting used to it. So let's go ahead and compile, and then let's run our file. Okay, I didn't get an output. Did I include the main file? What's supposed to be an output? Our output is supposed to be first solve the problem, right? First solve the problem, then write the code. Okay, so why? I do that we don't have an output here. This, yeah. Okay, let me see if we have the main file. I think we do. For us to have this, we should have the main file. Yeah, we do have the main file. So let's see. Then that means something is wrong. So let's try to figure that out and see. Okay, so I think I figured that out. So we are supposed to here, because of this null byte that we included here inside our loop, so that's why we didn't get the output. Yep. So now we're supposed to guard only this, because this is the null byte after our loop. So let's compile again and let's run our code. So this should be fine. Yep. So that was the issue. All right, guys. So this video has been quite long. For the two advanced tasks, I will try to put the solution in the description of this video. It's been a very long day for me. Thank you guys for joining. Leave a thumbs up if you do like the videos. Like I stated from the beginning of the video, this is raw video. I do this because I want you guys to know that nobody is perfect. Like you make mistakes when you code. You try to figure them, you try to to debug. So when you have issues in your code, it's normal. All right, just look for a way to fix them out. Okay, look for a way to fix your code, which is the most important thing, and that's the more reason I don't edit these videos. Thank you for joining. Leave us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. If you have issues anywhere, let us know. We'll help you out. See you again in the next video. Bye for now.